Hare Krishna devotees, welcome you all. The morning Bhagavad Gita class. We'll first pray to the Sri Lordship Sri Jagannath Baldev Subhadra Maya ji, Sri Sai Gaur Chandra ji, Sri Ram ji, Vamadev ji, and all the devotees here. Prabhupada. We'll have some prayers. Om Adnyanti Mirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Sri Gurave Nama Namo Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prashtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Niti Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Pachatya Deshatarine Jai Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. So today we are starting with a new chapter with a very auspicious day of Amalaka Ekadashi, and here the name of the chapter is also very opulent, that is the opulence of the absolute. We are starting with the first shloka. Before starting, I just want to give one simple analogy, and simple, not analogy, it's simple how the flow goes on. In the last chapter, in the 9.34, last shloka of the last chapter, Krishna is telling there that Man manabhav mad bhakta madhyaji mam namaskuru. So Krishna is telling to Arjuna that worship me, become my devotee. And in that, Krishna is telling, like, Krishna is so possessive that yes, be my devotee and worship me and do only whatever you want, you do about me only. And now here in this chapter, Krishna is telling how to do that. So Krishna is not only telling that you should do, but here Krishna is telling how to do that in from this chapter. So this is more important. Whatever knowledge is given by Krishna till now to Arjuna, Krishna is enhancing that knowledge now, and he's giving in more deep. So we'll go to the first verse of the 10th chapter. We'll recite the shloka. Shri Bhagwan Uvacha Bhuya eva mahabaho Shrunu me paramam vacha Yatteham priyamanaya Vakshami hita kamyaya Bhuya eva mahabaho Shrunu me paramam vacha Yatteham priyamanaya Vakshami hita kamyaya Shri Bhagwan Uvacha Bhuya eva mahabaho Shrunu me paramam vacha Yatteham priyamanaya Vakshami hitakamya. The translation by His Divine Grace is Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada, Shri Srila Prabhupada. The Supreme Personality of Godhead said, Listen again, O mighty armed Arjuna, because you are my dear friend. For your benefit, I shall speak to you further, giving knowledge that is better than what I have already explained. So Krishna has already explained the knowledge to the Arjuna, and now he is telling that I am telling you the knowledge which is more important, more confidential than whatever he has spoke already in the confidential knowledge. The ninth chapter name was the most confidential knowledge, and Krishna here is telling the knowledge I am giving you, the knowledge that is better than what I have already explained. So the most confidential knowledge, how to achieve that knowledge, whatever Krishna has given, how to achieve that, that is given in this chapter. So this chapter is also most important. That's why 7 to 12 is more important chapters. And yeah, the opulence of the absolute, even in the 7th chapter we know that in the Bhagavad Gita 7th chapter name was uh, the energies of the absolute, what it was, the knowledge of the absolute. So in the knowledge of the absolute, in the 7th chapter, 7.8 to 12, those four, 7.8 to 12, 5 shlokas, Krishna has explained about his energies, like how he is, what was that shloka? That Rasoham Apsu Kaunteya Prabhasmi Shashi Suryayo Pranava Sarva Vedeshu Shabda Se Paurusham Nrishu, then Punya Gandha Prathavyamsha. So Krishna is telling about his energy, and here in this chapter, Krishna is telling about his opulences. So what opulences Krishna has, that we will see here in this chapter. We'll see about the purport, what Prabhupada is telling in the purport. The word Bhagwan is explained thus by Parashar Muni. What was that shloka? That shloka is in there here in the Vishnu Puran 6.5.47 that Aishwaryasya samagrasya viryasya yashasriya jnana vairagyaschaiva snanam bhagam itingana. So here in this shloka, Parashar Muni is explaining that what is the meaning of Bhagwan. Why we are discussing this? Because when you can remember in the second chapter, when Krishna is telling the first time Krishna was speaking in the Bhagavad Gita, in 2.7, 2.5, 2.7 Karpanya Dosha, 2.11 Ashochanaiva Shochatsva. In that purport of that shloka, Prabhupada has given the meaning of the word Bhagwan. So Bhagwan means one who has all the opulences in full. So all six opulences, one who possesses Bhagavan. Like we can say Dhanavan. Dhanavan means what? The person who possesses full dhana, complete money, opulence he has, that is Dhanavan. So Bhagavan means what? One who possesses all the six opulences. Bhaga means opulences, six opulences. One who possesses all six opulences in full, not only one. All six opulences in full means if we find the richest person who is a richest person recently, Elon Musk is the richest person on the earth. So if he is a richest person, he is the richest person, then he is only richest, he is not full renunciate also. So uh, one who is full riches, he should be renunciate also, he should be beautiful also, should be knowledgeable, fame, strength. So all these six opulences, only one who possesses all these six opulences, that is Bhagavan. That's why we call every time whenever Lord speaks anything in Bhagavad Gita, it is tell not Krishna Uvacha or Mukunda Uvacha or any other thing. It's a Bhagavan Uvacha, Sri Bhagavan Uvacha. So Bhagavan means all opulences in full, one who possesses all opulences, all six opulences in full. So one who is full in six opulences, who has full strength, full fame, wealth, knowledge, beauty, and renunciation, is Bhagavan, or the Supreme Personality of Godhead, is also called the Supreme Personality of Godhead. While Krishna was present on this earth, he displayed all six opulences. Therefore, great sages like Parashar Muni have all accepted Krishna as the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Now, Krishna is instructing Arjuna in more confidential knowledge of his opulences and his work. So, in this chapter, Krishna is telling about his all opulences, like vibhutis. So, therefore, in Sanskrit, it is called as this chapter is known as Vibhuti Yoga. So, all the opulences are explained here, as well as what are the elements which we need to practice devotional service in a more deep way. So, confidential elements of practicing devotional service, that is also explained here in this chapter. So now Krishna is instructing Arjuna in more confidential knowledge of his opulences and his work. Previously, beginning with the seventh chapter, the Lord has already explained his different energies, as I told in 7.8 to 12. Krishna has already explained about his energies and how they are acting. How Krishna is there in the, how he is there in the test of water, how he is there in the moon and sun, like that. Now in this chapter he explains his specific opulences to Arjuna. In the previous chapter he has already explained, clearly explained his different energies to establish devotion in firm conviction, like in ninth chapter. In that chapter also Krishna has explained about his energies from 9.16 to 19. And then yeah, devotion to establish devotion in firm conviction. Krishna is explaining the ninth chapter. Again in this chapter, he is telling Arjuna about his manifestations and various opulences. So the more one hears about the Supreme Lord, Supreme God, the more one becomes fixed in devotional service. And this is the most confidential about this chapter. What is that? How to achieve the uh, deep position, or how to be focused and go deep into the devotional service. That is a important thing here given. That is, the more one hears about the Supreme Lord, Bhagwan, the more one becomes fixed in devotional service. How we can up in devotional service? We have to hear more. So always when we do something more in a bulk quantity, when we do something, like see, when if someone is very, like now 10th board exams are going on, if some student is not good in solving maths, then what we do? Maths means do practice. When he does more more time revision, then he will be more known. He will be known that thing is in a detail. So one should always hear about the Lord in the association of devotees. The more one becomes fixed in devotional service by hearing more about the Supreme Lord. So when we want to know about Supreme Lord more, we have to hear about him more. And when we hear more, like say, same way we can take the example of how a lover can be um, more into his loving affairs by hearing about the other person more. Like how we can take the example of how Rukmini Devi, she heard more about Krishna. She didn't have even seen Krishna, but when she heard more about Krishna, she got uh, she became attached more, and she no, fixed in her devotional service towards Krishna. So when we hear more, then only we can fixed up in our devotional service. And how to hear and from where to hear, that one should always hear from about the Lord in the association of devotees. So like not alone we should hear. We should hear in the association of devotees. Like we have Gita in class, we hear from the very senior Vaishnavas, like that. We should hear always in the association of devotees, and from the devotees only one should hear, and that will enhance one's devotional service. Why it is and how it is possible? So we'll see that. Um, so when we hear from the devotees, when we hear from the experienced devotees, we that hearing is also with the realizations of that devotee. So we get the realizations also. If we are hearing the class from like yesterday we have heard from the Ramchandra Prabhuji. So when we hear from the experienced devotees, we get the experience of that devotees also. And one most important thing, why to hear from the devotees only? Because when devotees give or when devotees speak, that speaking of the devotees, that also carries the mood of that devotee and as well as the purity of that devotee. So when we hear from the devotees, when we hear from the pure devotees, that time we get the mood of the devotee also, and the purity also speaks through the his speaking. So, discourses in the society of devotees can take place only among those who are really anxious to be in Krishna consciousness. Others cannot take part in such discourses. The Lord clearly tells Arjuna that because Arjuna is very dear to him, for his benefit, such discourses are taking place. Here also important thing is given that Bhagavad Gita and all the scriptures will not be understood by everyone. Only those who are on the path of devotional service, they only can understand, because the heart should be in that way fertile to understand all these discourses about the Lord. Even we can observe this in our friend circle or in our outside friends. They tell that, "Arey, I read Bhagavad Gita so many times, I don't understand only." So no, everyone can't understand. It's not everyone's cup of tea. To understand, we should follow the path of devotional service, to follow, and when we hear from the devotees, then only we can understand. So even when we start preaching to the new devotees, neophyte devotees, then they will tell, oh, I can't understand this, can you please explain. Then when someone explains to them, when they come in contact with the devotees, then only they can understand. So here in this way, Krishna is telling Arjuna that yes, uh, how to be fixed up in devotional service, we have to hear more about the, and that is the confidential, most confidential knowledge. We have to hear more about the Lord, about the Supreme Lord, in the association of devotees. That is most important, and from the devotees. So one should always hear about the Lord in the association of devotees. And more we hear, more we'll be more attached. So simple formula, if one want to go more dear to or more near to Krishna, dear and near ones, then we have to hear more about Krishna and from the devotees of Krishna. So we'll stop here for today. That is the first sloka in the 10th chapter, the opulence of the Absolute. Jai Srila Prabhupada ki jai.